Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy. Welcome to my channel, which is Greg Judy Regenerative Rancher. And for you new viewers, welcome. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about generating cash flow on your farm. Folks, this one's critical. And I get this, and I get this, and I get this, and I really haven't covered too much about it. And I really do. I need to do that. And so today we're going to do that. But first of all, I just want to give a plug to a fellow. This hat, you see it? I got this in the mail yesterday. It's just a beautiful hat. It's got the corduroy design on it, and his name's Doc, and I just want to share this with you all. You know, this guy's from Brooklyn. He said, I just want to thank you for all that you do on your channel. He said, I started watching your videos late night a few months ago, and this is a guy that's under quarantine in New York City. And he's been an entertainment professional for 20 plus years in the TV and film. And he said, I had no intentions of being a cow farmer. Now, he said, I'm up at 4 a.m. watching grass grow and cows eat your channel, eat your grass. And, you know, he said, I love the way you teach and approach things so much. He said, I have half my neighbors in the building now listening to you through this quarantine. He sent me the hat because he said he loves the different hats that I wear. So I'm wearing yours today, Doc. And he said, you know, at the crack of dawn, he said, I just want you to realize there's a group of us in Bushwick watching this. Doc, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And he may be taking a deep dive into the livestock business someday. I get a lot of this, and it's kind of neat, I think. People that had no intention of getting into the livestock business until they started watching some of the things that we're doing here. Folks, we go around one time, and if you're spending your whole life behind a computer screen, sitting in an apartment building looking out at other apartments every day, or business district, whatever, you're not out on the land breathing the air, living with ruminant animals, watching the health and how happy they are, and being part of this whole natural cycle with nature. There is no other business or occupation in the world that can even measure up to it. There isn't. I mean, every day I wake up and I pinch myself. I'm like, are you kidding me? I get to do this another day? It's wonderful. But what makes me appreciate it so much was I wasn't always this way. I did everything, you might say, backwards starting out. You know, I worked in town. I did it for many years. I didn't know about this regenerative ranching stuff. And I've learned over the years, and that's what I'm going to share with you all today. So those of you all new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad y'all popped in, and we're going to be covering cash flow today. It is a critical portion of the farm. It may be the most important because, folks, without cash flow, when you start out your farm, you're not going to survive. And I can't tell you how important it is, especially today in this pandemic thing we're going through. You look at the cattle markets, you look at anything. I mean, everybody's just suffering that's tied into, you might say, this huge commodity where we've narrowed all the animals into these barns and these few buyers, and now we can't process the animals, okay? Because we got people getting sick in the cutting, in these huge conglomerate, and there's 4,000 people shoulder to shoulder cutting up a pig or a cow. We used to have, you know, hundreds of thousands of small arbitors in the United States. Well, they ran them all out. They ran them all out. Now people are going hungry. We're burying livestock in the ground. It's nuts. It's nuts. We need to take back America's food. A nation that can't produce its own food is dependent on other people to produce it for them. It's nuts. We're shipping meat from overseas in here because it's already processed. It's in a bag. And American farmers are getting hosed right now. So I'm going to talk about getting yourself kind of insulated from, you might say, mainstream. You know, the sale barns, these huge packing companies that don't care if you stay in business or not. They really don't. They don't care. They don't care if you make a living on your farm. They just care about the bottom line on their corporate earnings. We need to stay on the farm, folks, and you need to control your destiny. So let's get started. So generating cash flow on your farm, it starts with several different things. One is you have to control your market. I kind of got a tickle the other day. I had a guy, he emailed me and said, Greg, when's the government going to send a quarantine on you and make you slaughter your animals? Because you can't feed them. I'm like, what? That's not going to happen. We have tons of grass. In other words, we're not dependent on grain farmers to produce us all these distillers grains. Or I'm not saying that's a bad business. It is right now. It's a real bad business because you know the feed costs are high, and you can't get it because the ethanol plants are shut down because they can't compete with gas at $20 a barrel for oil. So stay focused on one thing, folks, and that is harvesting solar energy. Okay, that's a good rule of thumb, and that is harvesting solar energy through a green growing blade of grass. And you do that with ruminant animals, cattle, sheep, or pigs. I'm sorry, cattle, sheep, or goats. Pigs need grain, okay? If you're growing your own grain, maybe run some pastured pigs or whatever, but be careful. You can get a lot of money wrapped up in grain. And sorry, but if you can't get your hands on that grain, or if it goes through the roof on the cost, it's just not, you might say, real sustainable regenerative to do that. I want to focus on the leaves of grass. So I think today, to generate good cash flow, starting out, there's several good ways. One, I've got friends that do this, and I did it for many years. I'll just write it in there. And that is custom grazing. Okay, custom grazing. So what is custom grazing? Custom grazing is where somebody else owns the animals and you graze them for them on your land or on your leased land. And they pay you so much a day per cow to run those animals on your farm. And so maybe you just want to graze them through the summertime. You get them in May, you run them until the grass runs out in the fall, and then they come and get them. You get paid so much a day. That's a real good way to create instant cash flow. I did that for 7 years. That's how I got out of the hole. You know, I found some sale barn owners, and I started grazing with other people. They kind of got wind that Greg was grazing, and he did a respectable job of it. He watched their animals. He made sure they had water, made sure they had plenty of forage, and we had a handling. We could load the animals for them, okay? So custom grazing, that's really good for instant cash flow. Well, how do you get started doing that? Go to your sale barn owners. Look at those guys first. They know all the producers in your county, and some of those producers may have lost the land lease. They didn't want to sell their cows, and they're going to be forced to sell them. Maybe you could get them out of a jam. Maybe they could bring the animals onto your farm. But you've got to learn animal handling husbandry. In other words, you've got to have a little bit of experience how to handle cows before you do this. Okay? There's some great resources out there. I can't overemphasize enough Bud Williams. He was, I call him the cow whisperer. Bud was awesome. Now his daughter Tina and Richard McConnell, her husband, they're doing these animal handling training sessions all over the United States. Awesome couple. They're teaching Bud's techniques. So learn how to handle animals, get the stress off them. No better place than Tina Williams and Richard McConnell. So we talked a little bit about custom grazing. Cash flow. Most people, in other words, you can't do well on the farm today, folks, if you're just a cow farmer. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about multi-species. So what's so great about multi-species? Multi-species means you've got more animals than just one. You might have goats, you might have sheep, you may have cows, you may even have some pigs. You may be raising some guard dogs. You know, the guard dog thing on our farm has just exploded. We had guard dogs, and I got to thinking, you know, those older guard dogs could be training some pups how to be effective guardian animals. And not all of them turn out. So this is not 100%. In other words, if you start out with, let's say, 8 puppies, you may end up with 4 that actually make good dogs. The rest of them have to be given away as pets or whatever. Maybe you may hit 100%. We have a couple times, but it's another species and another cash flow stream that is coming into your farm. Are you starting to follow me a little bit? So with cattle, if you're just in the grass-fed beef business, well, what have you got to sell? Well, you got some steers there to sell. Okay, you can sell steers. You can sell finished steers. In other words, a steer that's ready to eat. That's one channel that you've got money coming in from. Or maybe you don't have enough grass to finish those steers. Maybe you could get up 4 or 5 a month, and those are 400 pounders, 600 pounds. You can sell those to other grass-fed meat companies that are looking for animals to finish for their program. I like that market, because somebody will come in and they'll buy 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever. They load them on the trailer. We get so much a pound for them, and they're gone. Okay? And remember this, a steer cannot reproduce. So, you might want to look at, if that animal is going to eat a blade of grass, can it give you another one? A baby. Females. Put your money in the females. They're the ones that's refilling your inventory. It's not the steers. Yes, people got to eat the steers, and I love eating beef. I like eating our steers too. But those do not reproduce. So if you leave that steer on your farm for 2 years to get him finished, that second year he ate your grass, you could have got another baby calf out of a female. You follow me? So you're filling your inventory. That's cash flow. You've got more animals coming from the ones you just sold. You need this. It's like dominoes, okay? Now, we've got open cows. What's an open cow? An open cull cow is a cow that didn't breed back. And she's gotten heavy. She's healthy. She's nice and fat. That's a hamburger cow. So now you've got some hamburger cows to sell. You've got a cow that got thin on you, and she's not doing well. That is a cull cow. Or a sheep, same way, a cull ewe. Sell them. Don't let them die in your farm. Sell them. Take that money and put it into your farm to pay your bills, or send Junior to college or whatever, to pay bills. The other one is bulls. Don't keep the bulls too long on your farm and let them get great big and where they start breaking your cows down. If you're doing a good job, your bulls, use them for maybe 3, 4 years at the most, but then sell that bull before he gets real big, and then that's called pound. They pound them out. What they mean is they sell bulls by the pound. If you don't let that bull get too big and too old, you can sell him as a breeder to somebody else. Get you another young one. Okay? When you effectively keep a bull for 10 years, you've decided you're going to take all the depreciation on that bull. Where if you're trading him out when he's 3, maybe 4 at the latest, 5, okay, I'll give you 5 years. Let somebody else own that bull before he just gets massively big and he breaks down on you. Now he's a hamburger bull. You're going to get 60, 70 cents, well in today's market, maybe 50 cents a pound for him. Where you could have almost got your money back, put that money back in a new young bull, and it doesn't cost you much to keep a bull in your herd. Okay? So you got bull sales. You start generating bulls like we are now in our farm, you can start selling some bull seed stock. Folks, we can produce better bulls on our farm than we can ever buy. You know why? Because those bulls are adapted from the time they were impregnated in the cow, and that little baby bull comes out on the ground, out of the cow. That bull's already adapted. You know why? Because it was fed the soil, the environment, the forage on your farm through the milk and through the blood of that cow into that baby bull calf. He's already adapted. If you bring a bull 300, 400 miles away and bring him onto your farm from somebody else, you don't know what you're getting. That's a crapshoot. Okay? When you start getting really nice, slick-hided, short, thick, great big gutted bulls, now you've got another cash flow item. So you got seed stock. You got seed stock sales. Okay? The other thing, heifers. Folks, these grass genetic cows, we're talking about 1,000 pounds, 1,000 to 1,100 pounds. Okay, I'll give you a wider range. Just go from 900 to 1,100. Don't get them over 1,100 pounds if you can. You can run more of them. I'm not going to cover that in this talk, but trust me, it works. You can run a whole lot more cows, and it's not profit per animal. It's profit per acre. In other words, how many can you run, how much profit and how much beef can you generate per acre? Not per animal. Don't get into this high weaning weight thing. If you're chasing high weaning weights, you will go broke. You will go broke because you're focusing on extremes. You're going after animals that produce a lot of milk, and that animal's going to get thin on you in the wintertime because she's what we call a high maintenance animal. We're looking for animals that have a big gut, okay? Shorter legs, not too short, okay? But I don't want to open up a newspaper and shove them underneath their belly and be able to read it. That's way too much leg. Learn to hate long legs on animals. Long legs is equal no profit. If you're feeding grain, you're going to get by fine, but you're not going to make any money. Folks, there's folks today selling out. They're selling out. They're high input producers. They've got animals that are not making them a living on the land today because those animals cannot eat grass and stay fat. They're too darn big. They're too darn big. 14, 1600 pound cows, it just doesn't work. I get emails. Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable the emails I'm getting from folks. They're just tired. They're tired of losing money. And they want to go to a smaller frame bull. Folks, you can get there by using a smaller frame bull, keeping those heifers out of him. In a couple of years, you're going to be there, okay? So, seed stock sales, that's another one. We talked about the sheep. The sheep can be the same way. So you're selling ewe lambs, you're selling withers, which are the grass-fed lamb that's finished on grass, withers. You're selling rams, okay? But you've got to have a story, a true story, and you've got to be able to back up what you say, okay? If you're going to get in the seed stock business, your word and your seed stock sales is only as good as your word. If you tell somebody that's the way they are, that's the way it's got to be. Even if they mess up, I've given a refund on a set of bulls. The guy starved him to death, okay? He starved him to death. Fed him broom sedge hay all winter. Broom sedge. And the cows looked the same way. They were just thin. And he said, what are you going to do about it? I was like, well, I'm going to give you your money back. What am I going to do? I gave him a full refund. I took the bulls home and I just sold them. And I took a huge loss. But you know what? He will never buy another bull from me ever again because he should not be in the livestock business. He doesn't know how to take care of animals. So you're going to have some of that, but you've got to stand behind your animals. If you tell people that's the way they are, that's the way it is. We gave a refund on a guard dog last week, and it wasn't their fault at all. It wasn't my fault. We sold the dog to just a wonderful couple, love them to death. And they tried for 2 months to get this dog to eat. And the dog was so homesick he wouldn't eat. They did give him hamburger, he'd eat that, but it's getting hot now and it's not practical to go out and feed a dog hamburger every day with your sheep. And so she called me or emailed me and said, Greg, I don't know what we're going to do. I know what you're going to do. Bring the dog back. I'll give you a full refund. I didn't promise them a refund on the dog when they bought it. But you know what? I took the dog back. I'm tickled to death to help him out of that jam. The dog's doing great here. He's out there guarding sheep. He's eating out of our dog feeder, self-feeding dog feeder. He was just homesick. You get into some of that, okay? So you got to stand behind your sales to continue to have good cash flow. All right? Now, you've got to let people know you're there. How are you going to have any of these sales if you don't have a website? Critical. You got to have a website. And you got to tell your story. When I say story, I'm not talking about a fib or a lie. Tell your story. Have your family. Tell them about your family. How you got started. What trips your trigger in life? What makes you happy? What are you passionate about? Folks are buying your heart, the story from your heart. That's how you generate cash flow. People want to see you successful, and if you make sure that other people are successful as they're coming along with you, everybody is successful in this whole venture. Folks, I wish I had kept a list of all the people that have emailed me over the last, 10, 15 years since I wrote my first book, No Risk Ranching, back in 2002. I've changed a lot of people's lives to the better because they'd given up on ranching and they read that book. Well, wait a minute, we can lease land. And they went out and did that, and now they're not working for somebody else. They're working for themselves. They're making a good living on the land. Okay? So cash flow, again, what else can we do? I'll tell you what else you can do. I'll give you a little tip. You've got to learn to be very passionate, be good at what you're at, and produce the very best. Produce the very best. Don't sell something inferior. So if you're producing a really high quality product, you will get cash flow because people can be knocking your doors down. And I'll tell you this story, and I'm going to wind this up here pretty quick. There was an old guy, great friend of mine, and he told me, he said, Greg, if you'll raise, and he saw what I was doing with these South Pole cattle, he said, if you continue down this step, this same incline, and you keep getting them better and better and better and better and better, he said, they are going to be knocking your doors down trying to get a hold of some of those heifers to start their herd with. And folks, that's what's happened. I feel terrible. I mean, people email me every day. They want 5 heifers, they want 10, they want 20, they want 30. Folks, they're not out there. We're sold out. I mean, we sold out in January. Everybody spoke for every heifer that we're going to sell this year. If you raise really good, nice, high-quality heifers, stuff that you can't buy at the sale barn, you're going to have a market for those. And that's because they're not out there. 98%, I'm going to put it in that percentile. I would say around 98% of the cows today are the larger frame feedlot type that eat a lot of corn. There's not very many grass genetic cattle out there. But I've got people that are putting cattle in feedlots and have watched my YouTube channel and they're like, you know, Greg, they've pinched us down so tight that we're not making any money now. And they said, we're done. We're just done. We're going this route. These are people that have been in the feedlot business their whole life. There's not any money in it anymore. There's too much risk. The animals die. They're under stress. They die in there. Get them out on grass. Put all your weight gain on grass. And there's a really good living here. And you can sell them. You don't need Cargill. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm sorry about that. Don't go to the big four. Don't expect them to bail you out. Your market is direct to the customer, and that's up to you. You got to do this. But I don't like talking to people. Okay, have your wife do it. On a website, you don't have to talk to people. You do need to answer them when they send you questions. I don't get all mine answered. I get so darn many emails, I can't get them all answered. I would be in that computer 24 hours a day, but I try and get as many as I can. It's as good as I can do right now, okay? But I'm going to tell you what, if you're honest, people have got to trust you. And if you're not honest, and you give people a guarantee, you've got to stand behind it. That's what has done our success. I mean, it's YouTube. Heck, I'd be completely absent-minded if I didn't mention YouTube. I mean, we're up to 35,000 subscribers a year and 3 months, okay? That's been huge. And YouTubers have to thank you all. You all are awesome. All over the world, thank you all. Australia, I got a guy from Algeria. I mean, it's crazy the people from all over the world that are emailing and giving us comments like, you know, what you're doing is great. We're going to try it. We've kind of given up. We started early in life and it was a wreck, but we're re-energized by what you're doing. We're going to give this a crack. And I'm like, cool. You can do it. I'm not the only one that can do this. Everybody can do it. It's just on a different scale. So with that, I'm probably leaving out some things. If I do, y'all send some comments in. Maybe we'll make another continuation of this. I'm sure I've left out a lot of things. I'll end up with, you see in the background, we've got birdhouses. That's another one of our cash flows. So, you know, get some lumber off your farm, build some birdhouses. Maybe those birdhouses, that's 8,000 flies a day that tree swallows eat. Maybe you can sell some of those. Cash flow, okay? If you're really good at producing good grass and you've got it down how to put in the water systems, maybe you could put in something where you, on your website, where you could teach other people how to do that. Cash flow. Give them a farm tour. People get out there and start realizing that you know what you're doing and you're willing to share your knowledge with them. There's a market. There's a market for that, okay? Maybe you get out here and people recognize that you know how to grow really good, high quality grass genetic bulls. Go for it. Get other people raising some of those for you. You don't have to be the only one raising them. Have somebody else raising some of those for you. And you can market them because you're the one that's got the name. You're the one that knows what you're doing, and you're going to make sure that that other producer is raising them just like you are, or you're not going to sell them. Okay, they got to be exactly the same management protocols that you're using. Don't skimp on that, folks. You never sell an inferior animal to anybody. Eat it. Don't sell it to somebody to start a herd with. And before you do grass-fed beef, take it home and eat it. That's going to be a video coming up. We've got some hanging now in the arbitor. We're going to go do a video on that. The actual carcass is hanging. We're going to look at the back fat. I'm going to bring some ribeyes home. I'm going to grill them to make sure they're tender. That's what we do. That's going to be a great one. So anyway, we're going to see you all down the road. I hope this helped you all a little bit, kind of stimulate a little thought. Sit down with a piece of paper. Write down ideas that are way out there. Bring your friends over and write down some ideas that might generate cash flow on your farm. Maybe it's silvopasture. Maybe it's mushroom logs. Hint, we do that. Maybe it's selling some, some garden produce or a truck garden. Maybe it's selling guard dog puppies. In other words, you're not even going to train them. You're just going to raise guard dog puppies from good working parents. Maybe you can start writing about your experiences. Maybe, heck, write a book. Write a book. That's what I've done. I've written 2. I've got my 3rd one done. Hope to have it out later this year. We get it published. Anyway, go to my website, greenpasturesfarm.net. We're going to see some of you all at the grazing school coming up. Check out my books there. And we're going to see you all down the road. And thank you all. Hit that subscribe button and that like on the way out. Thank you guys and ladies.